Welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast, episode 40. As you might know, 40 is one of those biblical numbers. One popular explanation of its use is that it was a shorthand for when a writer wanted to speak of a large quantity of something. So, for example, "It rained for 40 days and 40 nights" may be a poetic way of saying it rained a lot. Why am I telling you this, instead of just introducing today's podcast, an interview with co-active life coach and filmmaker David Frank Gomes? Because I'm easily distracted. Can you help me with that, Dave?
Welcome to Communication Diva, the podcast that helps improve relationships one conversation at a time. My name is Jenn Swanson, and I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy life to listen to this episode number 40. Your time is valuable and appreciated. Earlier this afternoon, I interviewed co-active life coach and mentor and filmmaker David Frank Gomes while at a coffee shop on the campus of the University of British Columbia. David actually found me through the Communication Diva site and reached out via email to have a conversation and ended up coming to share his passion for coaching with all of you. So I'm going to turn you over without further ado to that interview now. So here we are sitting outside on a not so sunny Vancouver afternoon, and I am here with my guest, and I'm going to say hello and welcome.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm doing really well. And I'm going to just launch right into our topic today, which is about coaching and all the things that go along with what coaching is. And my first question is if you could explain a little bit about what coaching means to you.
Well, coaching is really about three things: discovery, awareness, and choice. And that might sound obscure. So in a more visceral sense, coaching is about having a voice in your life that is like no other voice. So regardless whether you're coming because you've suffered a divorce, or you're having a health issue, or you're feeling stuck, or you just want to learn how to play the piano, having this voice in your life and this learning a new way to communicate with the world and with yourself is just a very powerful way of finding a deeper, more meaningful life. So I really think people should have a coach in their life all the time. And once people experience it, they tend to want to keep a coach in their life because it's a place they can go that's just for them, without judgment, where they can be openly curious about themselves and their lives and make incredible changes, both big and small. So
it's different than having a confidant or a best friend or something because of the non-judgment part.
They're good too. Yeah, you definitely need confidants if you for gossiping, and best friends must have. But no, the quality of coaching is not about friendship, or not that your coach doesn't become a friend, but friends and family and confidants want to rush you to a solution. So when you say you have a problem, they just want to fix it and make you feel better instantly. And while that's fine, that isn't how people make transformative change in their life. So I use the analogy of a garden because I'm a gardener. You basically have to start weeding the garden of your life and pulling them out by the roots. And then the things that are bothering you don't come back. They don't grow back. So whereas friends just sort of pick the top of the dandelion off and they want to make you feel better. And there's a place for that. But as a coach, my job isn't to make my clients feel better. It's to make them have the life of their dreams. And sometimes that's incredibly fun. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it can be painful. And I'm there to hold that space for them, for all of it, courageously. And by me being courageous, I help them to become courageous as well. So it's quite profound, really.
And how did you come to learn about coaching in the first place? Did you have a coach yourself, or what was the process there?
I just came out of the womb a coach, according to my mother. No, I had a history as a filmmaker and a writer, making documentary films and working with nonprofit foundations and individuals. So from the art of storytelling, I learned some very profound ideas about coaching. The power of storytelling, the power of stories to change people's lives, and the power of listening to people, to powerfully listen to people so that they can be heard.
So are you thinking
So I've just been someone people have come to for a long time with these kind of issues and things in their life. And I have a long history, a 25-year practice of meditation and contemplation, so I just wanted to move into coaching. It was something I knew I'd always wanted to do. Because I think it feels good to be able to help people live the life they want to live.
Good. And you've got quote here that I'd like to read, and I'd like to ask you to talk about that a little bit more. It says, "When we discover that the road is the goal and you are always on the road, this means you can begin to enjoy every moment of the beauty and wisdom of your life as you embark on achieving and fulfilling your dreams, whatever they may be." Who said that?
It's sort of, I can't remember who said it, and I've kind of changed it a little bit. So I said a little bit of it, and somebody else I don't remember. But I coach from that idea that the journey is the destination, because I think it is the single most important way for people to have happier lives. What I've noticed is that when people come to coaching, they come with a thing they need fixed. And they often leapfrog over the present moment to try and get to this thing, thinking that once this thing is fixed, they'll be fixed. Whereas I encourage, teach, and guide people to enjoy the journey as they're reaching their goals or whatever it is they've come to me for. The process is important. And that's a big change for some people. They're not used to that. And when they start to experiment with it, they realize how beautiful it can be to enjoy the process of getting what you want in life.
So do you go back in time and begin there, or do you operate under the premise that you start where you are right now and then go where you want to go?
Well, coaching is interesting because I really don't need to know anything about a person's history or their past. But sometimes people really want to talk about these things, and that's okay. There are clues everywhere for me as a coach because I'm an intuitive, so I have the ability to sort of feel what's really going on. But the powerful thing about coaching is that, as you said so rightly, you can just start where you are. And that is fantastic because I'm not coaching problems, I'm coaching the person. And there's a big difference. People have a sense that if they just rearrange the pieces in their life, I'll push this here and I'll replace her and get a new wife, and maybe it's this car, I'll get a bigger house. They're constantly pushing around these pieces in their life, thinking that if they just get the combination right. And so I quickly deconstruct all that because it's exactly the opposite of the kind of coaching I do. So no, you don't need to know anything about the past.
So it's more about the process that the person works through to get somewhere, or it's not content, it's process, is it?
Well, content, what content does is it shows me where my client is at in that moment. There's a very simple way you can tell if somebody is really lost in their story by how much information they give you. And then she said, and then he did, and then that happened, and then they went there. Then I know, okay, somebody's lost in the story. So the content, there's some clues there, but hardly any. There's 3 main techniques that I use. Fulfillment, balance, and process coaching, and I can explain those. And that's the science of coaching. But the art is the intuitive part, and that's the part of seeing what's going on beyond the surface. And that's what the client can't see. They're not aware of what's going on. And as they become more aware, they start to make bigger changes. But as a foundation, I start with values, because if you don't hook up with your values, you simply won't make lasting change. So people come to me and they say, I'm lazy, I'm no good, I'm not smart. And I think, no, that's not true. It's just you haven't connected with the things that really are sacred and important to you. And as soon as you do, you'll be a superstar. And I see that over and over and over again. So that's kind of the first step. Perspective or balance coaching is really about teaching people to realize that they're lost in a view when they have a problem, a perspective, which has its... Being in a perspective is like being in a foreign country. You can't... It's got its own set of laws and language. Now you shift the perspective somewhere else, and all of a sudden there's a new set of rules. And that is where people make the most change quickly, is perspective.
So like an aha moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exciting. And then people are like, well, can I use this for everything? I'm like, yeah. Which is fantastic, you know. I'll give you an example. I had a client who, and if I share a story with a client, it's because they've given me permission. But
Right.
because the cornerstone of coaching is confidentiality. But I had a client who wanted to play the piano for a decade, never had. And so I was curious what her perspective was, you know, and where was she? And it was a perspective of it'll be hard, maybe I'm no good at it, pianos are expensive, I don't have the time. And from that perspective, it's not surprising that in 10 years she hasn't learned how to play the piano. So we played around a bit, you know, and one of the perspectives was, what would it be like if you discovered you were Mozart? You could play the piano. The first time you played, you were a genius. What would that feel like? And then we did one, what would it be like from the perspective of your family, your children, because they play the piano. And we discovered some perspectives around that. And we did a few others. And she landed on this perspective of her family. And I can tell you that not only did she go out and buy a used piano, get a piano teacher and start piano lessons, she's still playing today, and she wouldn't have without a coach. And that's because we found a more empowering perspective for her to want to really learn how to do it, which was to share it with her children and enjoy it and give concerts. Simple little thing. Would she have done it on her own? Probably not. And that's the power of having a coach in your life, for the little things and the big things.
So you're like a champion. You're championing the person and cheering them on.
Yeah, I'm believing in them. You know, I believe in the beauty of people's dreams. Tell me what your dream is, and I will help you to accomplish it. And in my coaching relationships, there are no rules. There is no right or wrong. There's feedback and learning, but it's like, whatever your dream is, let's go out and find a way to make it happen. I love that. I love it when people come back and say, I bought a piano. You know, I mean, how great is that?
Yeah.
You know?
That is great.
Yeah.
So you mentioned 3 different fundamental points of view. Can you say more about that?
Well, for most people, everything starts at the foundation of values, and that's fulfillment coaching, and that's having a life vision, which may change. But if you ask people what their values are, people generally give you two answers. They'll tell you things like money, which actually isn't a value. Or they'll say, I don't know, can you show me a list? And then they'll go value shopping, looking for a list of potential values. So the first thing is to really clarify, in a very simple way, what's important to you in your life? What are some non-negotiables that you must have in your life? And they act as a compass to pull you forward in your life. And that's how you make much more effortless change, rather than sort of being kicked along by destiny and what you don't like. And that's at the fundamental it's the foundation of building a house. What gets you out of bed in the morning? What do you love? What do you envision your perfect life could be like? What does it smell like, touch like? What does it feel like? What colors are on the wall? All that kind of fun stuff. That's really fun, discovering that stuff. I call it excavating for your real life. It's like digging deep. Perspective is just a technique you use whenever you're stuck. You name your stuckness and the perspective you're in on any subject, and then we search for empowering views. When we find a more empowering perspective or a new view, we build a series of strategies based on that. And then we take action. And process coaching is really about enjoying and feeling the beauty of the moment. It's about feeling, not pushing your feelings away, but allowing them to be.
Even if they're hard?
Even if they're hard, yes. If they're hard, we go deep into them. And when we come out the other side, we've learned something incredible about ourselves and we've diffused them. We live in a world where we tend to push everything painful away. I call it suppression and expression. It's like a suitcase. We pack this. I don't know if you're like me, but when I pack a suitcase, I have to sit on it to get it to close.
Yeah.
I like to pack a lot of extra stuff. Maybe I'll need this pair of pants. And then eventually, the lock springs open and everything pops out. And so what do folks do? They take all the clothing. They don't even fold it. They put it back in the suitcase and they sit on it again. And this happens over and over and over again, suppression, expression. I teach people how to start feeling what they're feeling, not to push it away, and to transform it. And I have a mathematical model that I use, and that is very simple. I want to spend 10% of the time identifying the problem. What is it you want? I want to make more money. Okay. 80% is spent on building resonance, which is sort of stoking the engine so that we can take the train out of the station. 80%. And 10%, that's the action. That's pulling the trigger. So how do most people make change? They spend 80% talking about the problem, 10% maybe building a little resonance, and 10% trying to do something. Doesn't work. So people have it the opposite. There's a kind of a scientific way to change your life. There's some rules, and if you follow those rules, you will get change. It's inevitable. But having a coach in your life is like supercharging it, I think, because you get somebody who's holding you accountable, somebody who's saying, I believe in you, somebody who is a creative partner, a non-judgmental partner, somebody you can talk to without any judgment whatsoever, and that makes a huge difference. So those are kind of the three techniques in a very basic way I use.
When did coaching, start becoming popular? I heard about it 20 years ago in the business circles, business coaching, executive coaching. But when did personal and life coaching start to flourish?
Well, I know that CTI, the Coaches Training Institute in California, where I did my training, I believe they say they're the oldest. And it started in the 80s. but I've been part of a wisdom tradition for a long time. So coaching and mentoring sort of fall into this kind of universe. So in one sense, wise people have always been seeking out the counsel of people to help them in various ways. It's labeled now and it's becoming an industry, but somehow I think there's always been coaches in people's lives. I've always had a coach. And if your own coach doesn't have a coach, then they shouldn't be your coach. That's because if you don't believe in it, then if your coach doesn't believe in it, then don't go to them. But so I'm not sure about that, but I feel like I've always had a coach and a mentor in my life because it's very valuable.
I had a conversation once with a physician who was talking about how we used to hang our elbows over the back fence and talk to our neighbors, and how individualism has become so rampant that we don't even do that much anymore. And so the need for coaches is exponential.
Yeah, I think it's true. Our sense of community has changed. In the digital age, people's ability to sort of figure things out has become highly diffused, and they have become kind of hypnotized by technology. And the interesting thing about technology is that it cannot deliver the things that every human being at their core needs. It can only be a deliverer of information, which is good. But information isn't wisdom, and it isn't happiness, and you can't generate happiness from it. I believe, like the art and science of coaching, is that happiness is actually a quality. It's a state of being. It's not based on getting something. When I get that Mercedes, I'll be happy. But I'm not suggesting you shouldn't go out and get a Mercedes if you want one, and I'll coach you on it. What I'm saying is that you can generate a state of happiness within yourself that does not require anything outside.
Now, isn't that quite countercultural in our North American world here?
Maybe, it may be revolutionary, but, at the Coaches Training Institute, they have a saying that creating a fulfilling life is a radical act, and it's true. And look around. I mean, I've had the good fortune of working with some very, very high net worth individuals in my film business. So I've seen those kind of fairy tale lives that people don't get to see. And I can tell you that the people that have that kind of incredible wealth, who manage it and are the happiest, are the people who do one thing. And you know what that is?
What's that?
They give it away.
Yeah.
They're philanthropists.
Yeah.
They've given their money such deep meaning that it suddenly becomes not money, but energy and love and transformation and change. So, I think, we need more fences and more. That's what I like about your concept and your blog and your website, is that it's the art of conversation. Mm-hmm. It's bringing it back again, instead of keeping your head down all the time.
Yeah, so back to some basic things, a relationship and connecting and improving those connections, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say honestly with my own clients that's what resonates with them the most at the end. They've made some big changes in their life. They've gone through some whatever they've gone through. But it's this sense of there's something kind of old-fashioned about it. It's like I get to have this conversation once a week, and it's just for me, and there's something ancient about it. It's not just about stuff. It's about me and my life and my happiness and my deepest desires and feelings. I think it's beautiful.
And it's not therapy. It's definitely different.
No, it's not therapy at all. because I hold that everyone is creative, resourceful, and whole. So they are not broken; they're stuck. And there's a place for therapy. I'm not denigrating therapy. And if people feel they need that, then they should get it. But I don't really delve into the past, as I said earlier, and I'm not so interested in the problems as the solutions.
So you said once a week. What does the format look like? How long is a coaching contract, and how many times do you meet or speak on the phone?
Forever. Once you hire me as a coach, you never leave.
That's it. You're in trouble then, eh?
Yeah. Well, I like a 3-month commitment. That's 12 hours. It's very difficult to sort of make transformational change in less time, depending on what people come to. And then afterwards, we renegotiate. We call it a designed alliance. So the client is helping to create the coach. It's not just I show up and I'm like, I'm the boss and here are the rules.
Right.
It's not like that, unless that's the kind of coach you want. Then I will boss you around. But the idea is that we create it together.
Right.
But many people want to stay in a coaching relationship when they discover it has added benefits beyond achieving their goals. Some people, this is what I want. I want to do this. Okay, it's done. They're like, I'm finished. So it's really individual, but at some point, people may have a coaching once a month after they've done, say, 6 months. They may just, once a month, they like to check in and say, this is what's happening. What do you think? That kind of thing. So it becomes more of a check-in. Because it's a very unique conversation that they find they can't have with anybody else. And they don't want to. It's special. It's just for them.
Right.
So, sorry, that was probably a bad answer.
No,
I think I answered everything. Forever to like 3 weeks.
Or the other way around. No, that's a good answer, because just to give people a sense of, how long this works, and it can go as short or as long as you want.
Yeah.
Depending, and I guess it becomes a special relationship for some people.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. A coach is so many different things, as you said earlier. It's very difficult to encompass it. I would just say the most powerful thing, or the most important thing to get a powerful outcome in coaching is find a coach that you connect with. The chemistry is everything. They've got to understand you, and you've got to understand them. That's the single most important thing about choosing a coach. If it doesn't feel right, keep it simple. It's like, if something feels heavy, it's probably a lie. If it feels light, it's true. So if you walk away feeling good, light, wow, this is like, then that's a good coach for you. But yeah, it does become a very special relationship. I admire and respect my clients. Some of them are they're so courageous and making changes in their life. I learn as much as I give.
It must be exciting to see people make that positive forward movement in their lives, especially if they've been stuck for a while.
It is, and people get, all of us, there are places in our life we get really, really stuck. And it's hard, because there's a lot of people living lives of quiet desperation, and that's why I want to get the word out about coaching, because you don't have to sit around and be stuck forever. You can get out of it. And, and I've worked with some people that have gone through some heavy stuff, in their lives. Personal illnesses and other things that are just, they're hard to deal with. And so having that voice in your life really has helped them. So, you know what, if you're feeling stuck, or you're feeling unsure, or you're wondering what's next, or something's come up for you and you really feel like you can't handle it, go onto a site like Numi, or, and get some coaching. You can get free coaching from any coach. They'll give you a free session or a free consultation. So you can get all kinds of free coaching and figure out what feels right, and invest, because it is a sacrifice. People say, I can't afford it. It's like, you can afford it. Make the sacrifice. get invested. It's got to be a stretch, If it's a little more than you can afford, do it. Like, make the stretch, because the benefits are you're going to make more money, you're going to have happier relationships, you're going to be healthier, and you're going to enjoy your life more.
So it's going to be completely worth it in the end.
Well, I think so. Yeah, I really do.
Good. So you've given me some names of some books, and I just wonder if there was one in particular that you wanted to recommend. I'm going to put some of these things on the website for people to check out at communicationdiva.com.
You're building up quite a book list there, eh?
I am.
I know, that's hard. You asked me that. I couldn't come down with even, I think I had 5 on there.
Yeah. There was one about money. That was interesting.
Yeah, Lynn Twist, The Soul of Money. Beautiful book. Beautiful lady. I found that book on Salt Spring Island at a thrift store. I think it was a quarter. And I remember looking at it and thinking, The Soul of Money, I like that title. And it really is a profound book about our relationship with money. Because, of course, money is one of the things people come to coaching for. They think they're after more money, but what they're really after is finding a way to give money more meaning. Because you can often earn a lot more money in your life when you give it a meaning rather than just making it a thing. But this is a woman who goes around the world and has raised tremendous, hundreds of millions of dollars, and has spent her life trying to encourage people to find more meaning in their money. And I guess what I took away from it is that it's giving and receiving are equal. In order to receive something from somebody, there's got to be a giver. But without a receiver, what do givers do? So in our culture, we're like, the person who gives is better than the person who receives. But in this book, it's like the person who receives is equal. And I think that's beautiful. It's like, so, today go out and give something to somebody, because there's a receiver somewhere, and a receiver and a giver have to come together for that contract to be fulfilled, and they're equal. But it's really an amazing book, so yeah, I would highly recommend it.
Okay, I'm going to have to find that one.
Yeah, I'll lend it to you.
Okay, great. If people want to find you, David, where can they reach you?
They can reach me at my website, lifecompasscoaching.ca, and or email me at lifecompass@telus.net. And all the information they need is on my website. There's a film they can watch to get a sense of who I am. And I'm always happy to talk to people about coaching. So they can drop me a line or call me, and I give free consultations if someone's curious, and with no obligation. So, yeah.
Fabulous. It's been really great to talk to you today. I really appreciate it, and I hope we can talk again sometime.
I hope so too. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Take care. So that was David Frank Gomes, who calls himself an agent for change, and who is apparently the human caregiver for the world's the world's greatest 6-pound poodle named Biscuit, and I completely neglected to ask him about it. So maybe next time. If the concept of life coaching was new for you before this episode, I hope that you now have a better understanding of it. And if you're familiar with coaching, I hope that you found the discussion interesting and engaging. And I hope that you will come and continue the conversation over at the website at www.communicationdiva.com. On the show notes page, I'm going to put all sorts of links to all of the books that David recommended. He only mentioned one of them, but there are many others that he talked about in advance before we hit the record button, as well as links to his Life Compass Coaching website, his filmmaking website, his email address, and more. So there are lots of ways to reach David and to see what he's all about. And we would love your feedback on this or any other topic. I invite you to click on the comment link to leave your comments. You can log in if you have live fire and leave a comment as yourself, or you can just log in as a guest. And you can also email me directly at jenn@communicationdiva.com. And I am under Jenn Swanson 2, the number 2, on Twitter, and also on Facebook at Communication Diva. So please come over and say hello in some way. Stay tuned for more Communication Diva episodes as we continue to explore the art of communication simplified. I'm Jenn Swanson. Until next time.